family, welcome back to the channel. This is Paulette, your notary queen with Seamless Notary. Thank you so much for stopping by one more time. I always have to say that. Thank you for coming back and for watching my videos. Now, if you're an aspiring notary or a new notary, thank you so much. This is a channel where I teach you a lot of important tips, the strategies, of course, and how to be the best loan signing agent. A lot of things that you can do to stay compliant. Now, today we're going to talk about the promissory note. All right. Now, the promissory note is one of the most important documents that you'll ever find in a loan package. You'll find it in the refinance package. You also will find this document in a purchase package. So make sure you look out for this. Today, I am going to explain the promissory note to you. I'm going to explain it in details. I am going to explain why is it important, all right? What information you'll find on the promissory note, how you should sign the document, and most importantly, things that you can say and things that you cannot say with regards to this document as a notary signing agent. So let's get started. So what is a promissory note? Now, the promissory note is a written agreement where the borrower promised to the lender that they will repay this loan according to the terms agreed upon by the lender. So think of it as an IOU, but it's a legally binding one. So what the promissory note does is that it outlines the borrower's repayment obligations, and it also serves as evidence that the borrower agreed to repay this loan. Now, unlike the mortgage or the deed of trust, the promissory note is not recorded in public records. It's just a contract between the borrower and the lender. Now, let's take a look at why the promissory note is so important. This document is important because it includes a lot of information. It includes the loan amount, which is very important. It includes the interest rate. It includes the monthly payment. It includes the payment due date. It also includes the loan term, which is important. Now, the late payment provisions is also included on this document, as well as prepayment penalty, if there is any. The borrower's promise to pay is also included on this document as well. So there are a lot of important information on this document. It's typically anywhere from 2 to 4 pages. It can be longer, but for the most part, it's typically about 2 to 4 pages. Now, let's say the borrower defaults on their loan payments and stop making their loan. The lender may in turn use the terms of the loan to enforce this agreement, which was something that they agreed to and promised to repay. So they can always use the terms of this loan and all this information in this loan to enforce the loan agreement. So that's why it is so important. Now, as a notary signing agent, what can you say and what can you not say with regards to the note? Now, as a notary signing agent, it's appropriate to identify the documents and its general purpose, meaning if someone asks, where is my loan amount? You know, the loan amount is right there. You can point to them and say, this is your loan amount. If they say, where's my interest rate? We can always answer the where questions because we're going to point to that information where they can see it. Now, what I typically say when I present the document, I say, this is your promissory note. It outlines your promise to repay the loan. It includes information such as your loan amount, your interest rate, and other loan terms that were prepared by your lender. Here you go. You can take a look at it. Now, if the signer looks at it and then asks, then why is my interest rate different? Now, that is where you have to pause and call the loan officer. If they say, okay, so why is my loan term different? Why is it 30 years instead of 20 years? Now, this is also where we need to pause because we need to get on the phone and get the loan officer, all right? Now, the borrower may even ask, can I change the loan term? You know, because they think they can do that. They think they can just strike a line through it and can change it? Can I change the loan term? A good response would be, those are great questions, Mrs. Signer. But since I can't explain or interpret the loan terms, let's contact your loan officer or your lender or your closing agent so you can receive the correct information. Now, this keeps you within your role and helps ensure that the signer receive accurate guidance and you are not trying to give advice where you are involved in unauthorized practice of law. All right, so the best thing here is to call the loan officer, the closing agent, or whoever you receive the closing from so that they can explain the loan terms so you can be compliant and stay in your lane. Now, how should the promissory note be signed? Now, as a notary signing agent, your job is to properly guide the signer, have them review the promissory note signature line. All right, and they need to have their name signed exactly as it appears on the signature line. Now, if they have a signature that is unreadable, you can't read it because you can't tell what it is, then that is always acceptable. But if that's not the case, then they have to sign exactly as their name appears on the line, unless otherwise instructed by the lender or by the title company. But they have to sign exactly as it appears on the line. Now, let's say, for example, the signature lines say, John A. Smith. They have to sign John A. Smith. They can't just sign John Smith. Now, let's say their name is William James. They cannot sign Bill James because, a lot of times here, a lot of people who are William are also Bill, and they go by that name. A lot of times they can put it on their bank account. They have been signing like that, and they think they can sign like that on these documents too. As a notary signing agent, your job there is to guide them and let them know what is acceptable, what's not acceptable. If they're giving you issues and do not want to sign, because I've encountered that many times, then your job there is just not to fight with them, but to reach out to your loan officer or your lender or your title company or your signing service, and they will instruct them how to sign, how to properly execute these documents. Now, also encourage your signers just to look at the signature line just to make sure that they're signing exactly as it says there. Now, if they're co-borrowers, the borrowers sign on their own designated lines. Now, most promissory note do not require notarizations. Please don't do it. Don't notarize a document that is not supposed to be notarized. All right, but always review the package carefully because on a very rare occasion, you may have a lender who require a notarization. I think I've seen a notarization one time on a note, and I've been doing this for 7 years. One time. So, it can happen, but it's very rare. But for the most part, it does not require a notarization. And if it does require a notarization, you will know because 9 out of 10 times it is going to have a notary acknowledgement or a jurat. All right, it's going to have that notary block. But if not, please do not put a stamp on the note because 9 out of 10 times it does not require one. Now, there are some common questions that the signer tend to ask with regards to the note. They'll ask you, can you explain my interest rate? Now, as I said before, as a notary signing agent, that's not a part of your job. So a quick response, and this is typically what I would say to them, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Client, I can't explain or interpret your loan terms. Let's contact your loan officer so they can answer that question for you. That's what I usually say, and we get on the phone and we do that. Now, another question that they tend to ask is, why is my payment different? I mentioned that earlier. A good response for you would be, I want to make sure, ma'am, that you receive the correct information. So let's reach out to your loan officer. Now, you're always going to revert right back to the loan officer or the lender. Also, one other question they tend to ask, do you think I should sign it? Do you think the rate is good? You know, do you think I should really sign this? I went to a closing one time and the guy was so adamant about it. I got the loan officer on the phone, and even after the loan officer spent at least 20 minutes on the phone with him, trying to explain the loan terms to him, he just couldn't get it. And once he got off the phone, he was asking me, should I sign it? Do you think I should sign it? Well, my response, and this is what I always say whenever they ask me that question, that decision is entirely up to you, sir. You can sign it or you cannot sign it. It's up to you. You can do whatever you choose. If you'd like more clarification, you know, about the loan terms, you know, we can always call back. We can always call back the loan officer. Or if I haven't called yet, I would say we can always call the loan officer. So let's contact your closing agent right now. That's what I do. Always revert right back to your lender, your escrow officer, your closing agent. A lot of times they already have the number to reach that person, or you will have that number in your closing package. But don't get involved in unauthorized practice of law. That's not your job, and that's a complete no. Now, there are times when the notary signing agent get carried away or, you know, get intimidated by these signers. Sometimes they look at you and they'll say, so how come they send you here and you don't even know anything about these documents? They will look at you and they will say that. Don't feel intimidated by what they say. But a lot of notaries get carried away and start explaining the interest rate. Remember, you didn't put these numbers together. How can you do that? They start explaining the documents. They start interpreting payment calculations. They start giving financial advice. Another common mistake that they make, they are telling the borrowers not to sign because they don't think that it's a good rate. You can't do that. Now, a lot of times the notary also assume regarding the note that it requires a notarization without checking the document. You know, remember, your role is there to facilitate the signing, not to advise the borrower. All right, so please don't do that, and do not notarize the note, as I said before. All right, now before I end this video, I don't want to make it too long. So I want to leave some pro tips with you regarding the promissory note. Now, when you presented that document, make sure you present the document by using the name of the document, the title of the document. It will say note or it will say promissory note. Make sure you identify the name of the document whenever you present it. Allow the borrowers to review it. Do not rush them. All right. This is a huge commitment that they are making. 20 years, 30 years, even 15 years, that's a huge commitment. So allow them to review the note. Also, point out where the signature lines are and allow them, or I shouldn't say allow, I should guide them so that they sign where indicated. All right. Sometimes they sign at a spot where it's not indicated on the note. Instead of signing on the signature line, they sign somewhere else. So make sure that you indicate where they need to sign. All right. Now, also, before you leave the signing, make sure that you review the document in its entirety before leaving the signing, just to ensure that everything is properly completed. All right. As I always say, you don't want to go back out there a second time, because you're going to have to go out there on your own term. All right. You won't be getting paid to go out there a second time. So just take that few minutes and ensure that the document is properly executed. I have a final thought, just a little recap here. Just want to make sure that you understand that the promissory note is one of the most important documents that you are going to find in a loan package. Your job as a notary signing agent is just to make sure that you can walk and guide the signer to the appropriate spot where they need to sign, execute this document properly, and also to make sure that if any question arises, you refer them to the loan officer so that you can stay in your role and you can be compliant, all right, and stay in your lane. Make sure you do that. Remember also to be professionals, because with you being professional, it protects everyone, not only you, but also the borrower and the lender and everyone involved in this transaction. So there you have it, guys. There you have it. All right. Now, if you think you have found this video to be helpful, if this training was useful to you, please give me a thumbs up. All right. Give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video. Also, turn on your notification bell so whenever I drop a video, you will be the first one to know. Now, in the next video, I am going to talk about the mortgage or the deed of trust. I'm going to explain that to you, tell you how it works, how it needs to be executed, and how you can confidently present it at the table. So make sure you don't miss that, all right? Now, until next time, please stay professional, stay compliant, and stay seamless in your signings, all right? Make sure you do that. Before I go, if you're new, if you're an aspiring notary, if you're on the fence, get off the fence, go get your first signing. If you make a mistake, it will only help you to learn more, all right? It will improve your signing, so make sure you just get off the fence. Be brave, go out there and do that signing. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.